I want to begin by echoing what has been said about migration as a positive, as a reality, as part of the human experience, and a very particular part of the Irish experience. It's acknowledged at the very beginning of the motion being put forward that we have emigrated. We have emigrated for years, and Ireland's culture, when we talk about it, part of our culture has been the experience of emigration. And those who forced abroad in times of famine, in times of poverty, in times of political oppression, and for many other reasons, and economic difficulty and all of the rest, have taken Ireland's songs, its stories, around the world, and that has strengthened our culture. Our participation in the world has strengthened our culture. The world's participation in Ireland has strengthened our culture, because culture is an evolving thing. And it speaks to the truth of human experience, of what it is to grow and be human and have a family and hope and what you hope for, and to think about places that matter to you, and to think about what it is to try and forge a life on this planet. That's part of culture. And Ireland's voice and strength in culture is that we have spoken to the human experience, and we've spoken from the experience of our place, and sharing it makes that culture stronger. And we see what is happening now in culture, very much strengthened by those migrants who contribute to and participate in that culture. Again, when we talk about what is threatening our culture, perhaps we need to talk about one of the actual threats, which of course is the space that social media algorithms, companies owned by a very few small oligarchs, companies often driven by logics of racism, direct algorithmic logics of racism, by the interests of billionaires, many of whom are not based here in Ireland, influencing the public dialogue and purporting to speak to and driving misinformation, driving hostility, driving division. That is a threat to our collective communities and our culture, that online space, because actually when you look to real communities on the ground, and when you look to how people engage with each other, there is a decency that is there, and there is a decency that is being attacked. That is what's being attacked. Our culture, our history, our spirit of welcome, the Kate Meal Fáilte, that's what's under attack from those who are gathering outside reception centres, who are threatening families. They are indeed threatening Ireland's culture and Ireland's sense of itself. I want to just speak to a few of the key pieces here that I'm concerned about. Yes, I share the line here of there are genuine concerns by local communities. Let's be clear, there are some genuine concerns, and there are some concerns which have been created and manufactured. Genuine concerns relate to the way that the international protection system has been handed over to private for-profit actors for far too long, the failure of the state to step up and deliver as it should have, the fact that the Housing for All strategy did not include a section on housing the migrant population, or housing, that wasn't part of it. It should have been part of it if it's housing for all. And indeed the concerns that have been raised for the facts, for example, not only are there 9,000 children accommodated in international protection as accommodation centres, but there are 7,000 who are in emergency IPAS centres who are not even subject to basic HICWA inspection. So there are real human rights issues to be addressed in that system. But what are not legitimate concerns are the concerns and the emails I sometimes get about people who are saying very clearly, I don't want to have migrants near me. I'm worried that we're a small village and you're going to bring 30 people into the village. That idea of creating a culture of differentiating and driving a culture of fear that is absolutely not matched by any of the facts in relation to crime, in relation to issues such as abuse. And I say that in the context of we need to address the real problem we have here right now in Ireland. One of the key problems is the rise of racism, the facilitation of racism. It's something we recognised as a problem 15 years ago. We had an actual national body, the National Consultative Committee on Racism and Interculturalism. that recognised the importance of positive narratives of integration, of planning for integration, of supporting intercultural communication, and of supporting and tackling tackling racism where it appeared. And instead, what we are getting now, and this is the core piece that we must challenge, is we are getting implicit dog whistles. And one of the lines that made me, when we talk about our culture and history, embarrassed to be Ireland, was the line from the Minister for Justice saying that we should not, I'm committed to ensuring Ireland is not viewed more favourably than the UK by those seeking to claim asylum. So we don't want Ireland viewed more favourably than one of the greatest, largest empires in the world, which right across the world brought colonialism and misery to populations. We want to match up and look like that. That's what we want to look like, rather than say we are a country that understands, that knows what it is to survive famine and to have that imposed on you, that knows what it is to have war imposed on you. That we want to chase a country that wants to pull the earrings out of asylum seekers' ears as they come in to pay for the bread sandwiches they might get. That is disgraceful, and that is not acceptable language coming from Ireland and coming from its history. So I would really urge, I understand the genuine perspectives of many of those in government who are putting forward concrete ideas within this motion. But we cannot tolerate that language, because when we do, we open up we feed the negativity, and we feed a narrative which is not truly respective of what Irish culture is and what migration is. And again, a last point, very last point I would say, one crucial point that we must fight, and it's not in here, is the proposal which Ireland, thank goodness, has not yet signed up to within the EU Migration Pact, of the idea of deporting people to countries they have nothing to do with. That is one of the, and thank goodness Ireland has not yet agreed to that component, the idea that you would deport somebody to another country because you had to deal with them, because the EU had to deal with them. Because let's be clear, that's the Rwanda plan, that's the El Salvador thing that we're seeing happening in the US. Please let Ireland not go down that road. Let's have Ireland stand up for decency and reflect on our own culture, our own history, and our own understanding, and our own knowledge of what it is to be in the world together.
Thank you. Senator Kelleher.